Opening week is presented by TD Ameritrade.
Day in Cincinnati, and this is a time of the year when we could see crazy weather extremes. We've been as warm as 86 degrees back in 1896, as cold as 38 in 1935. Both of those losses to the Pirates, ironically enough, and in 2000 it was wet, almost an inch of rain, and that ended in a 3-3 tie versus the Brewers, and in 77, 3 inches of snow. This year, good weather by opening day standards. We're going to be into the 60s, a bit of cloud cover throughout the game, even a chance for a stray sprinkle toward the end of the game, but overall, great weather here in Cincinnati. Enjoy the game here on Fox Sports Ohio and on Local 12.
And the baseball gods are looking down upon us. It is a glorious weather day. Opening day, no one does opening day like Cincinnati. And new manager David Bell knows all about that. A Cincinnati kid. We asked him throughout spring training, are you feeling it? Are you feeling the pageantry of being the skipper of your hometown club? He said, no, it hasn't sunk in yet. Now, we're here at opening day, it's sinking in.
I don't know if it'll ever sink in. You know, a few times it's hit me. It even hit me as I drove into the ballpark this morning, and was a little emotional just because it's hard to really grasp the opportunity and how grateful I am to not only have a job like you mentioned, but to do it here in Cincinnati. Just the extra motivation that comes with that.
And David Bell, for the first time, presenting the lineups. He's the new skipper of your Cincinnati Reds. It's a revamped roster, and there's a lot of excitement around this Cincinnati Reds team. Luis Castillo gets the ball on opening day. The anticipation is over. First pitch, Cincinnati Reds baseball 2019 on deck.
Cincinnati Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by Chevy. Check out our award-winning lineup, only at your tri-state Chevy dealer. By Cincinnati Children's Hospital, changing the outcome together. By Furniture Fair, for style and fair, choose Furniture Fair. And by Skyline Chili, feeling good. It's Skyline time. In the month of December, Luis Castillo turned just 26. And today will be his first opening day start since joining the Cincinnati Reds in a deal from the Marlins back in 2016. He was a 10-game winner a season ago. And you can only imagine, you heard his words a short time ago with Jim Day, but for 46-year-old David Bell, born and raised here in Cincinnati, the pride of Moeller High School. His father's here today. One of his brothers is here today. His sisters are here today. His wife, his mom, his entire family. What a day. What a day. Just saw his dad a short while ago, and that is one mighty proud papa.
You're right about that. And I think maybe only Buddy Bell can appreciate really what is going through the mind and the heart of his son David right now. Buddy, of course, former player, came up here, played for the Reds, played out of Moeller High School, ended up being a major league manager. He's done just about everything in the game you want, but I don't think there's any fatherly advice that Buddy could give David to prepare him for the emotions he's feeling right now.
The best advice is when the guy who takes the ball every 5 days is on his game, and that is a question today on this opening day for Mr. Castillo.
I thought it was an interesting call for the Reds to give Castillo this opening day start. I think it was in a way a message for the Reds to tell him, you know what, we believe that you can be our #1 starter, our stopper, and we need you to live like that, practice like that, prepare like that, and ultimately pitch like that. He'll get a chance to do it today, and if he's able to fill into the potential that he has, he will be a top of the rotation pitcher all year long.
Here we go, the 150th anniversary of Cincinnati Reds baseball. And a bouncing ball to the right side, one pitch, one out, and what a way to get it going. on a bouncing ball off the bat of Adam Frazier. Lineup presented by Furniture Fair. Again, Clint Hurdle calls the shots, although he's made a number of changes in his coaching staff this year. Melky Cabrera, newcomer in right. Dickerson coming off an excellent year in left. Josh Bell at first. Cervelli the catcher. Gung is healthy again and back in the United States after some troubles off the field. Shuck, a late addition to the lineup. Starling Marte has a migraine and is out of the lineup. And Eric Gonzalez, a former Cleveland Indian, gets a nod at shortstop. No more Jordy Mercer. In there, a fastball strike to Cabrera, who, despite his age, Chris, can still swing the bat.
He's always been able to hit, and you get him higher in the lineup, he gives him a real threat.
When we've seen Castillo really, really good, what do you see when he's good?
Well, I see a fastball that's a plus fastball up around in the high 90s, and then he's got maybe the best changeup of any of the top 5 pitchers in the National League. Once he got his velocity back last year, and when he went from September of 2017 to April of last year, something happened. He dropped off 2 or 3 miles an hour on his fastball. He tried to make things up for it with a better changeup, started to drop his arm angle a little bit. He's back now throwing the fastball free and easy, and his changeup's as good as ever.
That did not take long to dispose of Cabrera. So a ground out and now a strikeout, and the first 2 retired here in the opening inning by Castillo.
Sometimes a manager will put left-handed hitters in the lineup against right-handers thinking this is the best way to get them. But for Castillo, it feeds right into his strength. Look at that pitch right there. It's almost like a left-hander slider going down and away from a left-handed hitter. He sells it like a fastball. That is a money pitch.
You know, I love the comment you made back when the pregame show got started at roughly 2:30, where you said maybe some of the thinking of put Castillo into this opening day start all of a sudden gives him a confidence that maybe you can't get in any other way. I mean, maybe you can go out and pitch a shutout in the 3rd game of the year, and yeah, you've got good confidence before this franchise, though, with all the expectations, and for David Bell to say, you're the guy.
You know, sometimes if you're the 5th starter, you pitch like a 5th starter. Castillo has the stuff of a number 1 starter. They want to see if he can actually, grab that position and hold on to it. And if he's able to do it here, you know what you have coming up next in the rotation. More experienced, solid pitchers who will keep this team in ball games.
And that'll be starting with Sonny Gray and then Tanner Roark, the final 2 games of this series. Corey Dickerson coming off a really good year.
Best hitter in the lineup right here.
300 batter a season ago, won a Gold Glove in left field. I remember roughly this time a year ago, everybody was saying this guy could hit and he can't play defense. Even some of the Pirates guys were told that. He wound up winning the Gold Glove.
Yeah.
2 balls and a strike on Dickerson, the left fielder. And now 3-1.
Dickerson is that rare combination of a good idea at the plate. He's got a great planning procedure that puts a game plan together, and he doesn't chase a lot of bad pitches. But he's dangerous here on a 3-1 count.
And a 2-out walk is issued to Dickerson, so he's the season's first base runner. Let's take a look at the Reds on defense, presented by Ford. And Jesse Winker getting the nod in left, Schebler in center. That was a hot competition with Nick Senzel and, of course, Yasiel Puig. His first game as a Red in right. The injury to Jeanette moves Peraza from short over to second. Jose Iglesias, the regular shortstop, the last handful of years in Detroit, is alongside Suarez. How ironic that is, considering they were the 2 guys the Tigers had to make a decision on as to which would be their regular shortstop of the future. They went with Iglesias and traded Suarez to the Reds, and that was the Alfredo Simon deal.
And the other interesting thing about this infield is that Jose Peraza at second base is now taking over at second base, a spot that he had exactly this time last year, and ended up losing it to Scooter Gennett.
Swing and a miss, and a bat goes flying out of the hands of Josh Bell.
You know, there are a number of different ways to tell that you have a good changeup. One is you get a strikeout, and 2 is the batter swings and flails the bat over the opposing dugout.
Yeah, that's not part of the game plan. for the batter anyway.
That's when you know your changeup's looking pretty good. And he's got the kind of changeup that he can throw it back to back, and still a hitter may not be able to get on it.
Dickerson, not much of a base stealing threat, and he came back with it back to back, and the same result. So an excellent start on this opening day, his first for Castillo. When the Reds come to the plate, Winker to start it, followed by Votto and Yasiel Puig. Welcome back to sold-out Great American Ballpark in downtown Cincinnati. Temperatures close to 70 degrees on this opening day, and the Reds come to bat for the first time against Jameson Taillon, and their lineup presented by Furniture Fair. Winker in left, Votto at first, Puig, his Reds debut in right. Suarez, Schebler, Peraza, the latter third of Barnhart, Iglesias, his Reds debut. And Castillo, Taillon coming off an outstanding year. And it's been a long road to get here.
Well, it has been. In fact, it was just a few years ago right here in this city that he was diagnosed with testicular cancer. And really set him back quite a bit in his career. But he came together last year, pitched 190 innings plus. I mean, this guy is an ace in the making. There's no question about it. Still only 26 years old.
And Winker, first pitch, smokes one right at the Gold Glove winning left fielder Dickerson. Let's take a look at the Pirates behind Taillon on defense, presented by your Ford dealers. We mentioned Marte was in the lineup, and then apparently suffering from a migraine headache. Took himself out about an hour before. So J.B. Shuck will be in center. Gung at third. Gonzalez at shortstop. Frazier's going to be their regular second baseman after playing everywhere the last couple of years. And Bell over at first. Now Joey Votto. Votto led the league, as you know, in on-base percentage last year, but these are his words, not mine. He felt it was his most disappointing season as a major league player. He had 284, had just 12 home runs the entire year, and he played virtually every day. Had 67 runs batted in. He felt like he needed to go back to preparing during the offseason the way he had in earlier years of his career. And looking for a strong Votto-like season here in 2019.
Yeah, and what you hope, Tom, because you know his work ethic and how much he wants it and how he just goes after it, you know, tirelessly, that he doesn't try to overdo it too much. You got to relax and have fun when you play this game.
The ball's in the air to right center, driven a long way, and it's up against the wall. And Votto in with a double. Well, when that left the bat, it didn't look like it was going to carry that far. A good start for Votto.
I think it fooled a lot of the outfielders, too. I think at first that both the center fielder and Cabrera in right field kind of took a step in. It looked like it got in on him a little bit. But typical Votto, finds a gap and ends up on second base.
Well, now Yasiel Puig. Boy, the enthusiasm, the spark, the personality, the flair. And it's not to say there aren't deficiencies in his game. There's no question about that. But his personality has been a welcome sight around the Reds in spring training, going all the way back to the winter when he visited the Reds Academy, the Youth Academy. And I guess he made sent out the tweet earlier today. He said, I noticed where the expected high temperature today was supposed to be 66. And look at the number right there on his jersey. Breaking ball in there, a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike to Puig, who played in 125 games as a Dodger last year, the only team he's ever played for in the big leagues.
I mean, just about 5 years ago, Yasiel Puig came in second in the league in Rookie of the Year voting, and he was about as untouchable as anybody on that Dodger roster. And here he is in a Reds uniform.
Tardy on a fastball. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Votto at second base, one away here in the bottom of the first inning. And a fastball just missed the outside corner. Country Joe West calls the balls and strikes. He's a crew chief. Eric Cooper, the umpire at first. Andy Fletcher at second. Will Little, the umpire at third. 2-2 on Puig. Full count.
You see what they've done here with Puig the last couple of pitches. Try to nibble outside and miss. Try to nibble inside and miss. One of Taillon's best pitches he came up with last year, a slider, and it's a really good put-away pitch here to right-handers. See if he goes with it here. And that was the slider. So kind of the battle within the battle right there when Puig, that was a good spot and a good pitch by Taillon. You know, to be able to foul that off and stay alive, that's a minor victory right there for Puig in this at bat.
Once more, a 3-2 count on Yasiel Puig, and here it comes. Came back with a fastball at 96 to strike him out.
A biting fastball down and in. Boy, is that nasty. You know, the ease of the delivery is the first thing that jumps out at me with Jameson Taillon. He's a big guy. He's about 6 feet 5 inches tall. Has nice loose delivery, great extension at the very end, and that's the way you get that little action at the end of your pitches, with extension and a little bit of a flip of your wrist. That is why the Pirates are just so spectacularly high on this young man.
So 2 away in the inning. Votto out at second base. We're scoreless, and here is Eugenio Suarez, the Reds' leading run producer a season ago in regard to runs batted in. He had 104 RBIs, 34 home runs, and a .283 batter. He has become one of the cornerstones of this Reds franchise. Signed to that 7-year contract roughly this time a year ago. Chased that one up and out of the zone, 0-2. Straight up in the air. About a 10 to 12 mile per hour breeze, and the shortstop Gonzalez out to get it. Votto one out double, left at second. We're scoreless at the end of one on opening day. Here's today TD Ameritrade's right call. You know, Chris, you brought up earlier the numbers for Castillo really after a disastrous start, and most of the bad numbers were in April, although not so good in May and June, but things turned around especially in September.
No, he didn't do it by himself, and you have to really give the Reds pitching staff last year, the coaching staff, Danny Darwin especially, a lot of credit for helping turn him around. Darwin had Castillo down in the minor leagues a little bit. He knew him a lot, and he worked with him on getting his arm slot back, and the confidence came along with it. Up jumped the velocity. Next thing you know, he looks like an ace.
And you know, we talked about April. In his 6 starts in April, he was walking more than 4 batters per 9 innings. His ERA was close to 8. And he was striking out roughly 7 batters per 9 innings. Well, the final 25 starts of the year, he walked 2 batters per 9 innings, struck out 9 per 9, and the ERA was right around 3.5, including that sparkling 1 ERA in September. So now Francisco Cervelli, his 3rd straight opening day start with the Pirates. Good, solid player. Has been for a long time.
Really good fastball hitter.
Cervelli played in just over 100 games. He's frequently been injured. And straight up into the air. Short center. Schebler still looking for it and now finds it. You know, Chris, you use the term, and it's frequently used, about how things just seem to work themselves out. And you never root for a player to be injured, but how ironic, after Senzel is sent out following a very stiff competition basically with Schebler in center field, Senzel goes back to minor league camp, and now he's hurt.
Yeah, it was kind of a double-edged sword there for Reds fans, because a lot of them wanted to see Senzel right from the very start of the year. With the arbitration clock or the service time issue set aside, the Reds didn't want to risk that. They sent him down the minor leagues, and then he gets hurt, so people are naturally saying, well, if he had made the big league team, he wouldn't have gotten hurt. That's one of the challenges, though, that's facing Nick Senzel. He has not so far, even in a short minor league career, had shown the ability to stay on the field and play every day, and that's what you've got to be able to do to be a superstar in this game. And believe me, he's got the talent to do that. I love the way he goes about his business. Of course, all of his physical attributes and tools speak for themselves, but I like the little edge that Nick Senzel has, and I think is that one little extra intangible that will make him a really great major league player.
Well, here's one of the more interesting stories in all of baseball. That's Jung-Ho Gung, a native of South Korea. Had an excellent 2016 season. In just over 100 games, he knocked in 62 runs, had 21 home runs, but he has been issued 3 DUIs in his homeland of South Korea and could not get a visa in 2017 to come back to the States. Came back last year, got hurt, and played 3 games.
He did this an awful lot in spring training. They're wondering what he can do after 2 years off. Well, he hit 5 or 6 home runs down in the Citrus Spring Training League in Florida, the most of anybody on that Pittsburgh Pirate team, but he's also swinging and missing a lot too. But they need some power on this Pittsburgh lineup.
Now J.B. Shuck getting to start in center field, a late addition as we brought up. Perhaps you're just joining us. Starling Marte, their best all-around player. Apparently suffering from a migraine headache and was scratched just before the teams were introduced. Marte was coming off an excellent year. 20 home runs, 32 doubles, 33 steals. That one lined into center, and Castillo off to an excellent start. A perfect second. Schebler, Peraza, Barnhart coming up. This time a year ago, the Pirates were snowed out on opening day in Detroit. The Reds were rained out in their season opener. But today, my, oh my, how nice it is. And Kids Opening Day is coming up this Saturday. We have the festivities with the Reds players. 30 mascots will be walking the red carpet parade. Kids 14 and younger who attend the game receive a free Kids Opening Day cap thanks to Frisch's Big Boy. That'll be Kids Opening Day after an off day tomorrow. Schebler on the first pitch, 1 out. Kind enough to take time to join us in the top of the 3rd inning as the Grand Marshal of the Findlay Market Parade today. You'll want to stick around as baseball's Commissioner Rob Manfred will be visiting us right here in the booth. Well, I bet he has had a crazy day.
I did see him during the parade. He was riding in a convertible, a vintage, beautiful old Chevrolet, and he and Johnny Bench sitting up on the back of the back seat there. They were looking happy. And boy, what a turnout they had today for that parade.
Man, well, you walked in it today.
It was fun. One of these years, Tom, we're going to get you up early enough in the morning to get out there to do that. I mean, maybe we could move it back to 1 o'clock next year.
That'd be good. Sinking liner to left field, and the Reds have a 1-out single from Jose Peraza. Boy, what is in store for this young man this year? He just had such an excellent season a year ago.
You know, it's interesting that David Bell and the Reds said right away, you know, that Jose Peraza is our everyday player. Whether he plays second base or he plays shortstop, he's going to play. And when he broke on the scene a few years ago, people really began to judge him maybe a little bit too early. He's just now turning 25 years old, filling into, you know, the body that he should have. He's much bigger and stronger than he has been. And little by little, he's getting better and better.
Peraza had 23 stolen bases a year ago. He's very much a threat. In fact, if anybody, with Billy Hamilton no longer here, he is the primary base stealing threat. on this Reds team. There are guys that are capable of stealing more often than they have the last couple of years. Guys like Schebler, Puig can still run a little bit. And there's a liner into left field, and bad luck again.
I don't know. Nowadays, do you say bad luck or do you say good positioning?
I took the words right out of my mouth.
Because I can tell you that somewhere in Pittsburgh, there's an analyst who works for the Pirates who said, see, we knew we should have put him right there.
So now Jose Iglesias will bat for the first time as a Cincinnati Red. One of two non-roster invitees to make this opening day roster. The other is Derek Dietrich, former Florida Marlin, Miami Marlin. An outstanding defender is Iglesias. He was an all-star for the Tigers in 2015. In 2013, he was runner-up for the Rookie of the Year award in the American League. And this one in the air to left field, hit pretty well, and it's up against the wall. And the Reds are going to get on the board. The first at bat is a Red for Iglesias, a run-scoring double.
Well, I think he's going to love playing in this ballpark. Iglesias is going to get a lot of playing time here until Scooter Gennett comes back. That pitch, one of the first mistakes that Tyone has made up in the zone. We've seen him hit a couple of home runs in one ball game, Iglesias, down in spring training. Always known as kind of a slap hitter that puts the ball in play. That time he put it in play off the wall and drove a run in.
I think there's even a little bit more wind down on field level than perhaps we're seeing even from the flags out in left center. Castillo, a bouncing ball to third. The Reds are on the board first here on opening day 2019. Iglesias an RBI double. And the commissioner of baseball, Rob Manfred, joins us when we return. A very nice debut as a Cincinnati Red, getting the start today for Jose Iglesias, a run-scoring double, and the Reds have a 1-0 lead. And as promised, we certainly appreciate the time. Nice to see you, Mr. Commissioner. How you doing?
I'm great. It's a great day here in Cincinnati. It's been a really fun day so far. Enjoyed the parade, and there's something special about opening day here that I never appreciated until I came this year. It's really been great.
Well, I asked you before, but for those that obviously weren't with us here in the booth, this is your first time ever on an opening day game in Cincinnati. You rode in the parade alongside the Hall of Famer Johnny Bench.
Yeah, well, that's a special experience in and of itself. I have to tell you, had me laughing for the entire parade route. I was trying to pay attention to the parade, but Johnny's kind of a non-stop dialogue.
Oh, yeah.
It's really good. Really good.
This is about the best weather day that we've had for opening day in a decade, so I'm going to extend an invitation to you every year.
Yeah. Well, I said, earlier today, I'm hoping this is an omen for the month of April throughout the United States. We had such a brutal April last year. I'm hoping this is the beginning of something good for us.
Well, you're not lying. We were talking the other day. I think the first, if I remember right, the first 19 games the Reds played, home or the road, the wind chill last year in the spring, I mean, it was a big hit for baseball, wasn't it?
Right. We had a record number not only of games that were canceled, but we played a record number of games where we started game time below 40 degrees.
Yep.
And, look, that's tough on fans, tough on the players, but it's tough on fans as well, and we're hoping we get a little better break this year.
Now, what do? Will you hang around Cincinnati, or you try to hit an opening day game, night game somewhere else tonight?
No, I'm going to stay here in Cincinnati tonight since it was a 4 o'clock game. I'm going on to Washington tomorrow. I'll go to a game in New York at the beginning of the week and kind of work my way through the next week and a half.
That's
hitting
great.
Openers, yeah.
Base hit into center field off the bat of the former Indian Eric Gonzalez. It sounds sort of silly, but with everything that goes on in your job description as commissioner, do you ever get time to just sit back and be a fan?
it's interesting. I do get, particularly during the regular season, an opportunity to go to games where it's pretty relaxed and low-key. Particularly if I'm outside of New York, it's easier. And I do travel a lot and get to see clubs during the season. So yes, I watch a ton of baseball. I am a big fan, and I do find it to be really relaxing.
So you get the MLB extra innings pack.
I do. It's one of the things that's in that deal.
I think it is.
All right, so what's your favorite kind of a game? Are you looking for a pitcher's duel, or do you like a barn burner?
I'm a lot of action in the game person. I do appreciate good pitching, but I think, action probably my preference.
All right, speaking of action, well, what's on your plate? What's on your agenda? Well, what do you think are the most important things that you can accomplish here, say, in the next year as commissioner?
Well, I think, one of the things that we're spending a lot of time on right now is our relationship with the Players Association. We had kind of a tough winter, some unrest, so we're going to have some we made an agreement with them right at the end of spring training. Always important to make an agreement, and we're going to continue that dialogue. I think that's really important. Secondly, we're spending a lot of time on the media landscape. It's changing a lot, particularly with respect to the regional sports networks that are for sale. So that's an important initiative for us. And then the last thing I'd say is technology. We've been a leader in sports technology, and one of the things that our research really shows that is it's crucial to continue that leadership position in terms of capturing the next generation of fans. So we're spending a lot of time on that topic as well.
How do you capture the next generation of fans?
Well, I think that you have to understand them first. And I think the clubs have done a phenomenal job with respect to the in-park experience, going to these monthly passes and building these millennial areas where people can stand up. It creates the kind of flexibility that young people want in terms of making their entertainment selections. I think the second piece is the technology I've already talked about. You got to make sure that we make the game available on the platforms that young people use. Like the DAZN deal that we just did is really important part of that. It's delivered over the top. It's a great mobile product. That's really important. And the last thing is the game itself. I think that our game is fundamentally the best game in the world. We just need to make sure it's as crisp and action-filled as it can be, and as it has been historically. There's a lot of conversation about changing the game. I think about it as managing the change that's taking place in the game.
Well, we use the example all the time, Commissioner, that, you look all over this ballpark in the Reds Baseball Academy and Procter & Gamble. I mean, they've got to deal with changes in their customer base, right? And that's what it sounds like you're trying to do. And I know that Chris and I talk about some of your ideas, pace of play, whatever the case may be. It's just refreshing. And I don't say it because you're sitting here. We talk about it all the time. But it's just refreshing that you're thinking outside of the box a little bit, because you've loved baseball your whole life growing up outside of Syracuse, but it doesn't mean you can't make it a little bit better.
Right. I think that's the way to think about it. And the game changes organically. People make individual decisions 162 times a year, and all of a sudden the game looks a little different than it did 20 years ago. You have to manage that change. I think you referred to the Reds Academy. I think that's another huge issue. We have invested heavily in the youth space, the youth participation space. Baseball the last 4 or 5 years has been the fastest growing youth participation sport. That's crucial to our future.
A single, a bunt, and a walk, and all of a sudden the Pirates are knocking on the door, threatening for the first time against Castillo. Milka Cabrera down a strike. He struck out his first time up.
How do you get more kids playing baseball? And I don't know if I read where you talked about it at one time or not, but maybe being able to increase the number of college scholarships on a baseball team would give more incentive for kids to play baseball rather than go to another sport like football, where there are so many more scholarships available.
Yeah. Let you go.
This is in the air to left center, and making the call on the catch, Winker, 2 down.
I think that you have to start at the grassroots. we've invested heavily in kind of simple grassroots programs that get kids into the game, particularly in underserved areas where there may not be fields and programs available. We've seen a great return on that investment. You can see it in our draft. 20% of the first-round selections the last 5 years has been African Americans. Almost every one of those kids has some touch with one of our Major League Baseball programs. Elite play is important. You see it in the academies, giving kids an opportunity to play. And I think the point you make about colleges are important for us. We have an ongoing dialogue with the NCAA to try to make sure that college baseball is as competitive as possible with the other sports, because you want to get the best athletes.
In the air, and this should be the final out of the inning. Commissioner, we cannot thank you enough. A nice play made out there by Peraza. All the best.
Thanks.
Great having you in our city
you
on opening day.
Great to be here.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner Rob Manfred, kind enough to join us up here in the booth on opening day. Well, coming up over the next 72 hours right here on Fox Sports Ohio and Fox Sports Go tonight, the Cavs in San Antonio. That's immediately after Reds Live. Then Saturday, Reds and the Pirates. Remember, an off day tomorrow built in, just in case of bad weather. But we'll get started with Reds Live at 1:30. Then later that night, the Blue Jackets in Nashville beginning at 7:30. So here we go. A nice job by Luis Castillo to get out of a 2-on, 1-out jam against the 2- and 3-hole batters Cabrera and Dickerson. We were trying to say goodbye to Commissioner Manfred there, but I think he got an idea of the range again from Peraza. There's a broken bat, one hopper to short, and Winker is thrown out. I mean, Peraza went forever to get that ball in right field to end the inning.
I think it's going to take a little getting used to for Jose Peraza. Remember, it was very late in spring training here that he ends up being shifted from shortstop to second base. When he was first traded over, Jose Peraza that is, from the Dodgers to the Reds, a lot of scouts in the Reds organization said second base is his best position.
Bell bobbles. Boy, he just gave up on the ball. He still had a chance. And that'll be an error on Josh Bell. Even when the ball got away from him, had he hurried after the ball, he may have had a chance.
Ball right in on his hands right there. Votto is an expert at being able to get some of the barrel onto it.
So Joey Votto aboard for the second time. He had a double in the opening inning. Reds scored in the second on a 1-out single by Peraza, and then a 2-out double by Jose Iglesias. And here's Puig, who struck out swinging on a Tyone fastball his first time up. Fastball again, beat Puig there. Yeah, there's the vintage kiss or lick of the bat by Puig. Seen him do that many, many times through the years with the Dodgers. That fastball misses on the inside corner. Two and two. Well, coming up later on, our Miller Lite Hold True moment. And right now, that would be the Iglesias run-scoring double. But a long way to go. Last of the third, the Reds have a run on 3 hits. Pirates have been shut out on 1 hit. And a 2-2 on Yasiel Puig. Nice pickup there by Bell, who throws in the dirt. And now a rundown. And Votto will be safe at first. The runner Puig will be out.
Boy, Clint Hurdle's got to be thinking in that Pirate dugout. Of all the times that we did these drills in spring training, we're not even a week away from being in Bradenton, Florida, that they can't even execute a simple rundown play. I mean, you do this in your backyard better than the Pirates do it right here.
And you give a guy like Suarez a chance to come to the plate instead of being out of the inning. And really, that was again on Bell, who committed the error a moment ago. He stepped on the bag, and you had Votto to start a rundown, and he got rid of the ball so quickly to the shortstop they couldn't get the throw back.
Wow, he got the ball to the shortstop quick enough time, but he did not give the shortstop enough leeway and a good throwing angle to be able to get him the ball and apply the tag. I mean, it wasn't like Joey Votto is an elusive base runner. So it's a gift, and it's one of those things where, you know, you just hope that you can take advantage of an error here or there, or an extra base runner, an extra out.
One ball and one strike on Suarez. And now 1-2. For the damage this guy did in 19 games against the Pirates. Take a look at the numbers. 6 home runs. And he had 7 in his first 55 career games against the Pirates up until last year. Knocked in nearly a run per game. And of course, it was against the Pirates the first week of the year when Suarez suffered a broken hand. Hit on a fastball. And that was by Tyone, if I remember correctly, on that Sunday afternoon. They get the force out at second base, and that will end the inning. An error, runner left. We played 3, 1-0 Reds.
Skipper, check out our Elk and Elk storylines today. Father-son managers in MLB history, the Sisslers, Skinners, the Boones, and now add Buddy and David Bell to that list. I'm Jim Day upstairs with Buddy Bell, and got to tell you, I want to talk to you as a dad. When you look out onto that field, this is a long time in the making. When you see number 25 with Bell on the back, it's your son, manager of the Cincinnati Reds. What are your emotions?
Well, you know, first of all, Jim, I'm very proud of him, irregardless of if he had that uniform on. But you know, it's certainly, honestly, a really unique feeling. I haven't felt like this in 30 years since I played. That's one of the reasons I retired. I didn't really want to feel like this anymore. But you know,
you're talking about nerves?
Yeah, I'm a little bit on pins and needles and things like that. But I mean, it just, as any parent knows, it's watching your kids play is rewarding and also one of the hardest things in the world to do. But I'm enjoying it. I'm proud of it.
The only thing missing from today would be your dad, Gus Bell, who was very close to David, and boy, would he be a proud granddad today.
Yeah, well, he's got a good seat up there with Nuxie and Klazuski and Post and all those guys, so I'm sure he's enjoying it, that's for sure.
Buddy, you were a longtime player in this game. You were a manager. How much have you talked to David? Have you guys interacted a lot? I know you've wanted to keep a low profile and make this more about David, but have you talked with father-son advice, etc.?
A little bit, Jim. We haven't done a lot. I mean, he's got a great coaching staff. The front office has been great. He's been involved in that. So I try to do as little as I can. You know, if I see something, I might say something to him. But for the most part, I'm just like anybody else, and you know, trying to help out and be supportive. And I think they put a really good coaching staff together. That certainly helps my job, that's for sure.
I was there the entire spring training. There wasn't a moment that I sensed that this was overwhelming for him. It can be overwhelming for a lot of guys their first time around. Have you sensed that as well from David?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I'm sure he's got nerves and things like that, but you know, this is his 30th year in professional baseball. So I mean, he's been around this game a long time. He talked to my dad about it quite a bit. He's been around me when I played, when I coached, when I managed. So his education's been pretty good. But still, until you're in that dugout, you have no idea how quick this game is at times. And, but I'm always here to help, but he's got plenty of help as well.
Well, forever when we looked at David, we said, hey, that's Buddy's son. We probably want to change that up now. That's David's dad. Are you good with that?
I am fine with that, that's for sure. Thanks, Jim.
We've got a proud pop-up here, Tom and Chris. This guy's on pins and needles up here. It's as if he's a player again, but boy, is he rooting on his kid.
Well, for those of us that have been so fortunate through the years to know Buddy Bell, and I never knew his grandfather, Gus Bell, but David was extremely close to his grandfather, and we've already talked about each of the three wearing the number 25 in a Reds uniform during Buddy's tenure here and Gus for so many, many years. But it's just, this isn't the most eloquent way in the world to put it, but it's just really cool to see and to watch Buddy Bell during this spring training, because he is such a good guy. He is such a likable guy. He's a warm guy, and he might be nervous. I'm sure he's extremely nervous, but he's just so doggone happy and excited for one of his sons.
Buddy was one of the classiest guys I ever had a chance to play with. I was teammates with him twice, once in Texas, and then he was traded to the Reds, and I were reunited with him when I came over to the Reds. And just a class act all the way. I never saw Buddy Bell nervous at all, but you can tell by watching him a little bit here at the end of spring training, and here today I saw him nerves of a dad, and there's nothing you can do about that.
There's one other guy who's here today, and he's not working in the official scorer's box, though he does frequently during the season, is David's high school coach, Mike's high school coach, Ricky's high school coach, Buddy's high school coach, and that's Mike Cameron, longtime outstanding head baseball coach at Moeller High School. Of course, he coached guys like Ken Griffey Jr. and Barry Larkin, among others. But he was mighty excited here today, hanging out with Ron Roth and Buddy Bell and Ricky Bell, who's in town. Or as Mike Bell, pardon me, is in town.
Now, Mike Bell runs the minor leagues, I believe, for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yes, he did.
And he was also on a short list of a number of ball clubs that were out hiring managers this year, so it came very close for the Bells to have two brothers managing in the major leagues. That would really cause Buddy some indigestion.
Swing and a miss, and what an inning for Castillo. He strikes. Oh, foul ball. Okay. Everybody was on the way to the dugout.
Well, when that into the dirt, I thought for a moment it could have been a foul tip. It goes right off the bat and then directly into the catcher's hand or glove. That would have been strike three. But once it hits the dirt, it's a foul ball. Boy, that changeup that he's throwing, they just are unable to solve it right now.
So instead of a strikeout to fan the side and retire the side in order, it goes as ball 4, and that's the third walk of the game for Castillo. The only inning he did not walk a batter was in a perfect second. So Luis is fan 5. He's walked 3 and has allowed just the single by Eric Gonzalez. This guy right here hit the ball right on the screws his first time up, J.B. Shuck. A line drive to center field.
He's got a very short approach to the ball, Shuck does, and if you watch him set up, he kind of lays that bat kind of flat. That tells me as a pitcher that he's probably a pretty good high ball pitcher. A little bit unusual for left-handers, but anybody who lays the bat, that bat is already on plane. Good idea to keep it down. And they wanted this one up. Of course, when you throw it the way that Castillo does, that ball has some extra life when you get it up around the letters.
One ball and one strike on J.B. Shuck. Runner at first with 2 outs here in the top of the 4th inning. Pirates are playing without their regular right fielder, an excellent player in Gregory Polanco. He was injured halfway through last season, trying to come all the way back from surgery. He played in a few B games in spring training, primarily as a designated hitter until just the last week, where he's played in the field for the first time. They were originally saying he would not come back till the middle of May. They're still saying that, but many believe after seeing him in spring training that it could be much sooner than that. That he's a big part of this team. A team that really struggled offensively a year ago, and he does indeed fan 3 batters in the inning. But it took him 4 to do it.
Cincinnati Reds baseball, Fox Sports Ohio, is brought to you by Ford. Go further. By Gilkey Window, one of the top 100 window manufacturers in the country. And by Kroger. It's easy to place your order online and pick up at the store. Try it today at Kroger.com. The revamped Reds Hall of Fame and Museum. You're looking at the brand new plaque room and part of this season-long celebration, the 150th anniversary. Indeed, it's a multi-million-dollar effort to revamp already the best Hall of Fame team in baseball. And tomorrow they're having a ribbon-cutting ceremony for the 150th season, fittingly taking place at 1:50 p.m. It is going to be something, a sight to behold. It was already a great place, and now they've brought it into technology, into the 2019s, if you will, and we cannot wait for tomorrow.
Very excited about it indeed, trying to bunt his way on to begin the inning, and if he just punts that ball in fair territory, Scott Schebler could have crawled his way to first base, but it rolls foul.
I mean, as long as the team is going to shift like that on Scott Schebler, why wouldn't Scott Schebler take advantage of that every time to the plate? And then they start playing a more conventional defense. Of course, with 2 strikes, you may want to table that idea, but I still think that with all the data collected and all the analytics and all the MIT PhDs that teams are now hiring, I still did not see in spring training a concerted effort by everyday players to learn how to bunt live pitching. I mean, just lay the ball down.
So back to a slightly more traditional defense, although look at Bell. He is playing nearly in between first and second, so I stand corrected. He keeps moving further and further to his right. Jose Peraza, a line drive into left center field, a single, and scored the game's only run. That came in the 2nd inning. One ball and 1 strike on Peraza. The Reds with 3 hits, 1 run. The Pirates have been shut out by Castillo on 1 hit. And a sinking liner. And once more, the Pirates have him positioned perfectly, as they have a number of batters in this game already. If they read, it's a home run off that Toyota sign, way back into right center field. During our game today, Michelle Fraley from Centerville, just outside of Dayton, will win this beautiful new Tundra on display in the ballpark, thanks to your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Two in a row set down by Tyone here in this 4th inning. Tucker Barnhart hit the ball very hard his first time up, but again they have Dickerson playing right where he is again right now, and that's where he made the play, just in a few paces to his right. And this will be a 1-2-3 inning for Tayo. Oh, the second baseman lost his footing. And Barnhart will reach safely. Frazier came charging in. That's your initial instinct on any ball hit so weakly. But with Barnhart running, he had more than enough time to just a little easier pace.
I'm wondering if that ball may have come off the edge of the grass right there and just taken kind of an odd hop and forced him out of balance.
Well, I think you're right, Chris, because they've scored at a base hit.
Watch one more time. Watch how he has to change direction. He's got it perfectly right here, and then I really don't know. I
think Barnhart will take that as a base hit any day. So now it gives Iglesias a chance. He nearly left the yard. His first time up, sounded like he broke his bat there. Perhaps not. This double knocked in the only run of the game. That's a knee buckler right there from Tayo.
Yeah, he got a slider the first time up, and that's when he hit off the wall. It was kind of a hanger, just a little cement mixer spinner. That time, Taillon drops the big old Lord Charles on him, and that's a very tight, nice curveball. One of the best around. That's what Nuxie used to call him, Lord Charles.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, about 100 different names for curveballs. The old yellow hammer, that's one of my favorites. A yacker. But the Lord Charles,
the legendary baseball name of Ed Shepard, who coined it the Big Bad Bender. That goes way back. That's old-timer stuff there. On the ground is short. He'll have to play to first, and that will retire the side. One left. We played 4-1-0 Redlegs. Kroger and the Reds are again proud to team up to offer you that great value this year. It's called the Kroger Meal Deal. You check concession stands around the ballpark. The Kroger Meal Deal. You get a hot dog, a bag of chips, a 16-ounce Coke. And during this season opening homestand, Pepperidge Farm Goldfish. Now, what else would you have on kids opening day than goldfish? Make sure to get your Kroger Meal Deal today. What about Luis Castillo so far, Mr. Welsh?
He's striking them out, and he's doing it primarily with the changeup. 6 of them overall. You can see that pitch. Again, looks like a left-handed slider going down and away to left-handers. The thing about Luis Castillo, though, that separates his changeup from others is that he's able to throw it to both sides of the plate, and it's equally effective against right-handers as well. So, when it's working for you like it is, why change up and do anything else?
All right, he's got 8, 9, and 1 in the batting order. And the number 8 hitter, Eric Gonzalez, has the only Pirate hit of the game. That was a line drive single back through the box into center field in the third.
Yeah, Gonzalez we've seen over the years in spring training with the Cleveland Indians. Very good glove defensive shortstop.
Suarez plays a high first hop, one out.
I like that. Just that little interaction right there between Castillo and Suarez shows that Castillo is relaxed out there. Suarez probably came in and said something funny to him, maybe getting on him a little bit in jest. Wasn't sure how he was going to give him the ball. That shows me that you're relaxed and having fun. That's when you play your best baseball.
Castillo hails from the Dominican Republic, and the Reds have had some outstanding pitchers take the ball on opening day through the history of the franchise from the Dominican. Castillo today, Johnny Cueto, 4 straight years. Edinson Volquez back in 2011. Jose Rijo, boy, how good was he as a Red. And, of course, the great Mario Soto. Taillon, a bouncer down to third. Back-to-back outs for Castillo here in the 5th. You know, one little interesting, it's sort of a quirky thing. I mean, it's off the wall. There's no doubt about it. But it is an oddity nonetheless. Today the Reds play the Pirates for the 29th time for the Reds on opening day. For the Pirates, it's the 30th time they've played the Reds on opening day.
Explain that.
And you're saying that's right. How is that possible? Because of a scheduling oddity, the Reds in 2001 played one game against the Atlanta Braves and then started that traditional sort of 3-game series against the Pirates, who were off the prior day. You learn something new every day. That'll go foul.
So it was opening day for the Pirates, but it was not opening day.
That's right.
So is that a half an opening day?
I'm wondering if we ought to bring that up as a half of an opening day.
Well, you had the commissioner there. He probably would have been the one to be able to arbitrate that.
He'd have had the answer.
So you had your chance, and you're going to have to wait till next time.
And Lord knows when that will be. I think the last time the commissioner was here, I could be wrong, but I think the last time he was in Cincinnati was when they opened that Urban Youth Academy.
Mm-hmm. I think you might be right.
2 summers ago. Maybe popped in, you know, for some kind of meeting of some sort with the Castellinis or whatever the case may be, but I know he was here for that. Obviously the All-Star game 3 years ago. All-Star game in Cleveland back in the Buckeye State later this summer. 1-2 on Adam Frazier. Oh, boy. Didn't miss by much. Two and two to Frazier. Looped into short left. They had him played that way, but just out of the reach of a charging Jesse Winker. This really is an amazing place for opening day. And look, we can, you know, stick our chest out and pound our chests and pat ourselves on the back all day long. But where we are up here on the 3rd level, if you walk over on the first base side away from our booth, which is right behind the plate, if you look above when you come to the ballpark, you'll see a glass enclosed area, and that's where some of the executive offices are up here, the media relations staff and some others. And to look out today and that sea of red on the block party and those waiting to get into the ballpark. And my, oh my, look at the bright sunshine. Check out the new theme ticket packages the Reds are offering up this year, featuring a Star Wars Darth Vader bobblehead presented by Skyline Chili, a Marvel Black Panther bobblehead presented by Cincinnati Bell, and many more. For tickets, visit reds.com/themes. Chris Wells, Jim Day, our entire Fox Sports Ohio crew, our producer Josh Hall, our director Roy Alfers. Great to have you with us on opening day. The 150th anniversary of professional baseball, and here in Cincinnati, the oldest sports franchise, not only in baseball, professionally speaking, but in all of North America. 1869, and boy, are there some incredible events going on this entire summer. And they are jam-packed into Great American Ballpark. The Reds with a 1-0 lead. Castillo out of there to start the bottom of the 5th.
You had to figure that if Castillo was on his game, that this had a chance to be a real pitcher's duel, because Tyone has done very well against the Reds. He's really coming into his own. Castillo's got the edge right now with 7 strikeouts. That is only number 3 for Tyone. That's the one part of his game that people will say, well, you know, he really can't be an ace because he doesn't strike out enough. But you can see that he's had a lot of easy outs here so far this afternoon. Mixed in with some line drives to left field.
Well, there you see after the All-Star break, these are 2 of the top pitchers with Tyone and Castillo. And look at Williams. We'll see him day after tomorrow in the 2nd game of the year.
Pretty good list to be on right there, because you certainly want to finish strong rather than start strong and then fade away. Tyone had a string now, and he's still working on it, of 23 consecutive games where he's given up less than 3 earned runs. The only pitcher better than that is Jacob deGrom, who, by the way, did the same thing today for the Mets.
Winker 0 for 2, lined out hard to left field on the first pitch of the first inning, and then softly lined out. They ruled it. The shortstop caught the ball in the air rather than throwing on to first. It was a line out, not a ground out, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes this time. Reds won just 5 of their 19 games against this Pirate team a year ago. Back-to-back strikeouts, 4 in the game now for Taillon. And a quick message from Miami Valley Gaming.
Get ready to get lucky.
Pull to the right side, and Votto will be thrown out. It's a quick 1-2-3 fifth. Reds lead 1-0.
Celebrating 150 years of Reds baseball. Here's today's Geico Reds historical moment. GABP opened March 31st, 2003. Reds Pirates. First time in 40 years. Over 42,000 in attendance. George H.W. Bush threw out the first pitch. Junior had the first hit. It was a double. Reggie Sanders went yard. Austin Kearns hit the first Reds home run. Reds, though, lost that game 10-1, but it's been a good stay here at GABP. It all got started in 2003.
All right, Jim Day, thank you. This is a big inning here for Castillo. It's a 1-0 game, and you have the heart of the order coming up. Melky Cabrera, Corey Dickerson, Josh Bell. Cabrera struck out, fly to left. Dickerson has walked and popped up, and Castillo's had his way with Bell striking him out twice.
Great setup pitch right there. And that's one thing that a lot of pitchers just cannot do, is pitch to both sides of the plate. And if you can do that by coming inside and just show the hitter, Cabrera, inside. He just smelled your fastest fastball. Now you can go back outside, and it's very hard for him to adjust. I mean, with all the analytics and the data and the collection and the new waves of slowing the game down through ultra slow-mo cameras, the same thing works as it always works. You know, hard stuff in, soft stuff away.
Cabrera bounces one to the right side on a 3-1 pitch. 1 out. That sun still shining quite brightly into the eyes of center fielder Schebler and especially left fielder Winker.
And it also shines off the batter's eye in dead center field, and it makes it very difficult for hitters to pick up the spin on the baseball. And that's the first way that you read the change in speed. And this is normally when teams are taking batting practice here, where the coach is throwing 45 miles an hour.
Is that really how hard you think most batting practice pitchers are throwing the ball?
Probably between 45 and 55. I mean, they're only 45 feet away. So it simulates something like a, 85 to 90 mile an hour pitch. Of course, the hitters want it right down Broadway.
Dickerson walked in the first inning, popped up, stranding 2, ending the third to the second baseman Peraza in short right field. 3 balls and a strike to a second straight batter.
Yeah, and this is the second time in this game that Dickerson's gone 3-1. He walked the first time on a 3-1 count. This guy's dangerous. I said before he's the best hitter in the Pirates order, and I even think that's the same way if Marte and Polanco are still healthy and playing. This guy can hit.
Down the right field line and bending foul, and a good thing. That had 1-1 written all over it.
Interesting the changes that hitters make along the way to try to get better. For Dickerson, from one year to the next, one little simple change that he made is that he began to choke up a little bit. And he was able to catch up with more fastballs. Now that you see him, he's down on the end of the knob again.
Fold in there on a 3-2 change. 8th strikeout of the game by Castillo.
I really believe that the way Castillo's throwing that changeup today is that, I mean, you can tell him it's coming. He's not going to do anything with it. Although I take a look at the slow-mo, and it almost looks like that's a slider.
You know what? Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth after seeing that spin. It looked like a breaking ball rather than the changeup. Yeah, we're told that it was the breaking ball, so that almost backed up on him. But gets a strikeout on a 3-2. He's already fanned this guy twice. Bell had a great rookie year. Clubbed nearly 30 home runs. He's become one of the faces of this Pirate franchise, with Andrew McCutchen among others moving on. Josh Harrison no longer here. But the home run total slipped all the way down to 12 last year, and he played virtually every day, hit in the 260s, and they need more from Bell. This was an offense that struggled and struggled mightily. And remember, this Pirate team finished over 500 last year.
I think it's a case, Tom, of the league figuring Bell out and Bell not making the adjustments. I mean, there were some positives out of him last year. He had a higher batting average by 6 points. He had 23 points added to his on-base percentage, but that came with the sacrifice in power, as you said, going from, 26 to 12 home runs.
Well, he's gone 3 balls to every batter in the inning. 3-1. Got a ground out. 3-2. Got a strikeout. And now full on Bell. 91st pitch of the game by Castillo, and here it comes. Hooked into right field off the end of the bat, and Puig will have it fall well in front of him. A 2-out single by Bell. And apparently that might be all for Castillo. Jared Hughes, a veteran right-hander coming off a brilliant 2018, is ready to go. And David Bell makes his first official pitching change as a major league manager. And what an opening day start for Castillo. He will get a warm ovation from this sellout crowd at Great American Ballpark. Deservedly so. Our Skyline Chili called to the bullpen.
Castillo, Luis Castillo, what a great afternoon on opening day for him as he points up into the crowd. They gave him a standing ovation coming off the mound after 5 2/3 of 8 strikeout work, and the Reds go to Jared Hughes out of the bullpen. I got to tell you, I'm not really crazy about this move. And they may have reasons, pitch counts for whatever reason they know here. But anytime you go to the bullpen door, there's a certain case of uncertainty. You know what you had in Castillo. But as usual, Hughes jumps ahead 0-1.
And a base hit on an 0-1 pitch into left field by Cervelli.
And the reason I say that is that while you have a pitcher that's in kind of the rhythm of the game, he certainly hasn't lost anything. He gives up a scratch base hit to Josh Bell that really wasn't even hit all that well. And you got a right-handed hitter coming up who's a good fastball hitter, still had not figured out your changeup yet. I'm inclined to stick with him a little bit. But again, a lot of times this goes back to the analytics, which will say, you know, third time through the order is when starting pitchers really falter.
Jung-Ho Kang is 0 for 1, has struck out and walked. Fastball at the knees, a strike. How durable and how solid has Jared Hughes been? 345 appearances over the last 5 years, 7th most in the major leagues. And the last 7 years, starting in 2012, his 2.6 ERA, 4th best among all pitchers who have 440 or more outings. So not only durable, but extremely effective, and he was so good last year as first as a Red.
And dedicated to being better. I mean, he is one of the most studious pitchers I've ever been around as far as trying to break down his own delivery, his strengths and his weaknesses. He keeps a detailed notebook basically on every pitch that he throws in a game. He keeps a notebook on his bullpen sessions, and now with all the slow-mo cameras and the analytics and things like that you get immediate feedback from. I mean, he's eating this stuff up. But you watch his pitch sink. I mean, that is a pitch that if I'm a farm director, I'm trying to figure out a way how to teach every right-handed pitcher that throws less than 98 miles an hour how to throw like Jared Hughes. And what makes him a little unusual is that he's a very tall pitcher. He's about 6'7" or 6'8" tall, but he's got a very low arm angle. And normally pitchers that are that tall have higher arm angles when they make the ball sink. He's figured out how to do it from a little bit higher than a sidearm slot.
Two and two on Kang, 2 on, 2 out. Looped into left center field. And this will fall in a base hit. So the Pirates have tied the game, and the run will be charged to Castillo. Here comes a runner, and a throw to the plate, and the Reds fell asleep on defense. Winker very slow getting the ball back to the infield, and apparently no one telling Peraza the runner would never slow down, and comes all the way and scores to take the lead 2-1.
I'm not really sure why Jesse Winker threw this ball to second base rather than just to the cutoff man. I mean, you not only have to follow the ball, but you have to also know where you're going with it. And maybe he threw it there because it was the closest spot to him, and he was the cutoff man. But that is just one heads-up play right there. Coming around third base is the first one. Cervelli does this and then gets the go-ahead by the third base coach. I think Cervelli was going anyway. That is heads-up base running, and they pick one up.
Well, it goes down as a 2-run single for Kang. Amir Garrett now throwing in the bullpen, and this is not second guessing. It is clearly first guessing, because Chris Welsh, you said it before he ever threw a pitch, but you wondered about the move here in the inning. And Jared Hughes has faced 2 batters, allowed 2 hits, and although 2 runs are not charged to him, 2 runs have scored. One of the 2 charged to Jared Hughes. And now he's fallen behind 3-0. So Amir Garrett getting loose in the bullpen. Tucker Barnhart trying to settle Hughes down a bit. Single walk. Pirates lead for the first time in the game. Tapper to Suarez. He'll throw out Gonzalez, but the Pirates score twice on a 2-out single by Gung and heads up base running.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
An outstanding opening day effort by Luis Castillo. He leaves 5 2/3 innings, his first opening day start. 2 hits and a run. Hughes charged with a run. So now Tyone takes the ball here in the last of the 6th inning in front 2-1. Breaking ball to Yasiel Puig. 0 for 2 is struck out, bounced out. Suarez to follow, and then Schebler. Each team with 4 hits. Pirates have 2 runs.
Now that's a classic way that teams for years have been going after Yasiel Puig. Tease him with slow stuff down and then get him to chase a high fastball. That's the one challenge for the Reds hitting coaches right now, is to try to get him to lay off that pitch just a little bit above the top of the strike zone. Turner Ward on your left, Donnie Ecker on your right. Turner's the head hitting coach and Donnie's the assistant.
Good eye there by Puig. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Boy, it's really interesting to watch Jamison Tyone because you can just see the way he's moving the ball around. Once inside, once outside, going up, way in, then going down low and away.
3-2 on Yasiel Puig. High pop up off the end of the bat in a short center. That's easy out there for Shuck. And now a quick message from TD Ameritrade.
Will the TD Ameritrade trade desk gut check my trade strategy? Should have shaved my beard. That's what I thought.
Eugenio Suarez looks at a strike. Suarez 0 for 2 is popped to short and bounced to third. Taillon has only thrown, you see, 68 pitches so far. Castillo, working in the top of this inning, was up over the 90 pitch mark. Breaking ball at the knees, a strike to even things at 2-2.
That's a dandy.
Chris brought it up earlier. Taillon found out here in Cincinnati when he was diagnosed with testicular cancer. He's also had Tommy John surgery. He's had hernia surgery. It's been a decent amount of time in wait for the former #2 overall pick in 2000 draft to really break through and become a force in the big leagues as he did in 2018. There's ball 4 to Suarez.
I mean, all that delayed him probably a year, maybe a year and a half to 2 years overall in his development. But now at age 26, that's when everyday players begin to start reaching their highest performance plateau. And you can just see he's something special. Taillon is. Got 4+ pitches, a nice easy delivery that looks like he can repeat. The Pirates are going to lean on him hard this year.
191 innings a season ago, a 14-game winner. ERA in the low 3s. We saw him that second weekend, a complete game. Had the one bad game on May the 22nd, but look at the other 4 starts. Total of 5 earned runs. Runner goes, and Suarez is easily out.
From the knees. San Francisco Cervelli says, I'll have none of that. Watch this throw by Cervelli.
Jam shot pop up, and that'll end the inning. So Taillon just mowing him down outside of a walk to Suarez. Go to the 7th in a 1-run game. All right, maybe you did work today. In our Honda game summary, we'll bring you up to speed. It was Jose Iglesias, his first at bat as a Red, an RBI double in the 2nd inning, plating Peraza. And the Reds a 1-0 lead. Luis Castillo, his first ever opening day start. Picking him up and mowing him down. Fan 8 through 5 2/3. He was replaced by Jared Hughes, who allowed a single, and then this. A single into left field. Very alert base running by Francisco Cervelli. And a 2-1 Pirate lead as Taillon leads off against Jared Hughes. Here in the top of the 7th inning. 2 runs, 4 hits, 6 left for Pittsburgh. 1 run, 4 hits, 4 left for the Reds.
Every team thinks they have a shutdown bullpen if you can get a lead to your pen late in the ball game. But the Pirates really believe that if you can hand a lead over by the 8th inning to their bullpen, they're going to be really in good shape. And that's why this is a very important inning right here for Jared Hughes. Put a 0 on the board.
Talked about the very low pitch count for Taillon. That's why he's still in there. I'll let him bat. And he has gone looking for a strikeout for Hughes. And that's the way we begin the 7th. And here comes David Bell, and that's going to be all. With Frazier coming up. A left-handed batter. You have a switch hitter in Cabrera, then another left-handed batter in Dickerson. And back for a second go-round with the Reds is Zach Duke. So Hughes will leave. Right now he's the pitcher of record.
Stick around after the game. We'll put a capper on this one. Reds Live, the post-game edition. Sam LeCure will be joining me on the set in the Fox Sports Ohio condominium with a lot of analysis, and let's hope a Reds comeback victory. I'm Jim Day. I'm not in the cheap seats. I'm with the important people, and one of them, there's a bigger Reds fan on the planet. I haven't met him yet. He is Kirk Herbstreit of college football fame, here for opening day. Herbie, how we doing?
Doing great. Just hoping for a couple runs here in these last 3 innings.
The people that don't know, you live and die with this Redlegs team. Every pitch, every game, every run. I mean, you're a diehard.
I am, but you got to remember, I was born in '69. I grew up with a big red machine, and it just never leaves you. So I don't care where I am, what I'm doing. The Reds are probably, at this point in my life, the thing that I follow the most. I'm the dumbass that follows pitchers and catchers showing up in February. Like, I know everything that there is to know about the Reds. I'm a diehard fan. I get to put away a microphone and just be a fan.
Well, here I am sticking a microphone in your face in the offseason, but we really appreciate it. Now, you've got to be excited. There's a lot of excitement around this team. The additions to this team is Zach Duke, the new pitcher for the Reds, induces a out. You got to be excited about what the Reds have in store.
Well, I'd love to hear from you and Tom and from Chris about what you saw when they were out at Phoenix, because what you read, you get excited about. You know, I think it's going to come down to the arms. I mean, losing Scooter, of course, for a couple months will hurt the offensive production, but I'm anxious to see if these arms can hold up and keep them in the race, because the National League Central with the Cubs and the Cardinals, and I mean, it's such a competitive division with even the Brewers. They're going to have to pitch better. How many games last year did you call? I felt bad for you guys. It was 6-2 in the second inning, and they were out of it. And so this year there's reason to be optimistic, and I'm fired up to see what this team can do, and hopefully we send Marty out with a competitive year, and a year where he can maybe get a chance to get the team to the postseason.
You just paid homage to the Hall of Famer, did you not, in the booth?
I did, man. I mean, I know we can kid about it, but when you live in Nashville and you don't get a chance to get up here, you can get a little emotional about it, because literally from the time I was 5 years old, I was listening on my little AM FM radio to Marty and Joe, and to think that this is his last year. I think for all of us, we have so much respect and so much appreciation for everything that he's done for this franchise and for the fans of this team.
Absolutely. Stretch time. Zach Duke gets it done. Herbie, thanks for joining us. Reds looking for a comeback.
Join T-Mobile and score free MLB.TV. Sign up now at T-Mobile.com/MLB. Take a look at this. Cardinals and the Brewers on opening day today in Milwaukee. How many times have we seen Lorenzo Cain do this? Jose Martinez trying to tie the game, 2 outs in the 9th, and Cain brings it back. And the defending divisional champion Brewers behind Josh Hader and company getting the opening day win. Well, he's done it at Votto a couple of times, right?
He does it to a lot of them. He's one of the premier defenders in center field in all the league, and he's at it again. They hit some home runs there in Milwaukee today.
Well, of course, the Cardinals during the offseason, one of the biggest acquisitions, maybe the single biggest acquisition made in regard to a trade rather than a free agent, was picking up Paul Goldschmidt, standout for many years with Arizona.
And it didn't take long for them to add Goldschmidt long time to an extension right there. You see the moves that the Brewers made. They got Yasmani Grandal. They've got new pitching coaches and hitting coaches in Chicago. And here we haven't seen him with the Pittsburgh Pirates yet. Lonnie Chisenhall's got a broken finger. Of course, they got a couple of pitchers, Archer last year, and then Kella, who is a setup man to one of the better closers we're going to see.
Peraza puts a charge into one. First pitch in the inning, and just like that, we're tied. Peraza hit 14 home runs a season ago, and #1 on opening day this year knocks it at 2.
Well, he scored both runs in this ball game for the Reds, and if you notice that Some of the Reds hitters are being pretty aggressive on the first pitch of the at-bat, and he gets a little bit of a hanger right there. Nice short swing. Just enough power to get it out of here and tie this baby up.
So a 2-2 game here in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Boy, the front row at Great American Ballpark, I mean, that causes more pitchers' nightmares than any other spot in baseball. And it gets his crowd a little bit going too now. It had really gotten quiet, almost kind of waiting around. There wasn't a lot of offensive energy going on, and now that it's tied up here in the 7th inning, it seems like they're into it.
So Pablo Reyes takes over in right field for Melky Cabrera. Three balls and a strike on Tucker. And that's ball 4. Second walk of the game, and perhaps Clint Hurdle starting to wonder how much longer he goes with Tyone. He will send out his pitching coach, the highly respected pitching coach of this team, Ray Searage.
Had an interesting conversation with Ray, who's a former teammate of mine in the minor leagues, about how sometimes I asked him how the Pirates use their analytics when it comes to going to get a pitcher late in the game. You got Tyone, who's their #1 guy. What dictates more? What do you put more weight in? What you see from the dugout in your pitcher, or from what you see on the spreadsheet from what a guy does third time around and so on, and number of pitches under his belt? And he said, you know, you have to measure the heart of a player. You have to know what you've got in a certain guy. Some guys are able to go a little bit longer than others. And I mean, sometimes you need to call on, especially when you're in a market like Pittsburgh, where you don't have unlimited number of resources, that you've got to lean on your guys to be heroes a little bit more than you do, say, in Los Angeles or in New York, when you can just replace them with another all-star.
Well, I think we were in Atlanta last year when, you know, you made the comment at the time, been around this game for a long time, and you weren't patting yourself on the back, but you say, you know, I can tell with my eyes. And in a case like Castillo today, you know, do you go by what you see, or maybe what the charts say? And we're going to lean on Tyone.
I think part of that, Tom, is that, you know, to break up maybe the negative momentum going on here in this inning for the Pirates by sending Ray Searage out, but it's also to give Tyone a chance to tell Ray Searage, you know, I've got this. And you're going to see fewer and fewer of these circumstances.
That's a bouncing ball fair down the third baseline. Barnhart on his way to third. They'll hold him there, and Iglesias, his second double of the night, and the Reds are in business.
Boy, the bouncing ball that went right on the chalk line as it went over the third base bag. Gets jammed quite nicely with this. It was a good pitch by Tyone, but a bad result. Right over the third base bag. That ball can actually land in foul territory, but as long as when it is in the air after it's bounced once, it goes over the bag, they're going to determine whether it's a fair ball or not.
Richard Rodriguez is ready in the bullpen, and they're going to bring him on after Dietrich was announced as the Reds pinch hitter. If you're wondering, Rodriguez is a right-hander and Dietrich is a left-handed batter. Tyone was given a 2-1 lead in the top of the 6th. But a game-tying home run by Peraza, followed by a walk and a double, and his opening day is over. A home run by Peraza ties the game at 2, leading off this Cincinnati 7th inning on opening day. Barnhart, a walk, now stands at third after a double by Iglesias, his second double of the game. Derek Dietrich has always been an excellent hitter, announced as the pinch hitter for the pitcher Duke, and he'll be facing Richard Rodriguez. He had a great year last year.
Yeah, he did. Maybe one of the better kept secrets in all of baseball. He was a career minor leaguer, originally signed by the Astros. Not overpowering, but he's got that high fastball that he throws right there. And it was described to me by Bob Walk, their color analyst for the Pittsburgh Pirates television, that it's one of these pitches that you can't lay off of, but you also can't hit.
Go ahead, run at third. Up and away on Dietrich. This guy has been a solid player for a long time. See what he did last season. Hails from Cleveland, Ohio. Collegiate or high school, played at St. Ignatius. Started 2 and was able to hold off. 2 balls and a strike.
Rodriguez, you know, as I said, a career minor leaguer, signed when he was 20 years old, finally made the major leagues last year at age 28. That was after he spent the winter playing in the Dominican Winter League. I mean, pitched 23 games down there.
In the air, right center field, and Derek Dietrich, welcome to Cincinnati. And man, is he fired up. A native Buckeye. The 2 non-roster players invited into spring training, they are the story so far on this opening day. Iglesias 2 doubles and an RBI. Dietrich a pinch hit 3-run bomb.
Wow. Guy's got some intensity.
Yes, indeed. A curtain call. That's an Ohio boy right there. That's a Buckeye. And how about the Reds here in this bottom of the 7th inning? Homer, walk, double, bomb.
Boy, he's got a smooth stroke, Dietrich does. You know, watched him take a lot of batting practice down in Goodyear, and he just is able to keep his head still, get the bat head through. Well, this is the difference in this ball club. You know, Tom, we talked about the upgrade the Reds have made in starting rotation, but their bench now is better than I've seen it maybe ever. I mean, since we've been broadcasting anyway.
No, I think you're onto something when you say ever. You'd have a hard time finding 4 guys, 5 guys, depending on how many pitchers you're going with, that would be better than what they have.
I mean, over the last 5 or 6 years, it seems like your bench was made up of 4A players, guys that are on their way out of baseball one way or another, or they're on their way up, but they weren't quite good enough to be everyday players.
I mean, he was so fired up when that ball left the yard. Check him out.
Well, that's the attitude you want this ball club to have right there.
That's great stuff. And Winker will walk. The last Red to hit a home run in his Reds debut in an opening day game was Scooter Gennett in 2017. Winker will come out of the game. Michael Lorenzen will run for him. And you wonder, do we see Lorenzen stay in the game to play the outfield? You're not going to bring in Matt Kemp to play defense, no. I don't think.
You know, you might, because, you know, I've talked to David Bell about that, and I asked him, you know, who are your best center fielders out here? And, of course, he said Nick Senzel. And I said, well, where does Michael Lorenzen rank? He said, right there. Delano DeShields is the first base coach.
Votto pops it up into short left field. And that's out number 1 in the inning. Votto is 1 for 4 today after a double in the first inning. So now Yasiel Puig, who's 0 for 3, is struck out, grounded to first, and popped to center. Strike 1. It's going to be really interesting to see how Lorenzen is used this year. You and I have been talking about this for 2 years, and it was really based on a conversation with Lorenzen, and that he said, I just feel like I have so much more to offer, and that the pro game tends to not go in that direction like it does in the collegiate game. And now David Bell and his entire staff from the very beginning of spring training, as Puig is out of there on strikes and advancing on to second, is Lorenzen.
It's a heads-up play by Lorenzen. I think in order to make it work for Michael Lorenzen, you have to have a manager and a coaching staff that believe in it. And that at the first mistake you make, the first fly ball that you misjudge, or the first time you make a base running error, or whatever it is, you can't pull the rug out and say, sorry, the experiment didn't work. I mean, he's a good enough athlete. I don't know if there's a better athlete on this team all around than Michael Lorenzen.
Mm-hmm. So 2 down in the inning, and now Suarez with Lorenzen in scoring position. That ball stung by Suarez, but it's caught by Dickerson. But what a 7th inning. It started with Jose Peraza, who tied the game at 2. And after a walk and a double, Derek Dietrich, in his Reds debut, a 3-run home run to snap a 2-2 tie. Well, Michael Lorenzen does indeed stay in the game and takes over in center field. It'll move Scott Schebler over to left. And here is something that was talked about a great deal, Chris, by David Bell, another area which I'm not going to say if you'd say it's thinking outside the box, but it certainly is not being afraid to do things a little bit differently than you would from a traditional quote-unquote closer, and that is the biggest inning of the game might come in the 7th, it might come in the 8th. And David Bell has gone on record, and now money where the mouth is, bringing him in the 8th inning, right, Iglesias.
I love it. I mean, you've got a pitcher playing center field, and Michael Lorenzen, and you're bringing your closer in the 8th inning. I mean, why not? And I think it's a perfect time to do all this. Because if you wait too long, if you delay these type of moves until sometime later in April when a game's a blowout game, and it just seems like, oh, it was an afterthought. Here, you're doing it in the very first game, a full house here at Great American Ballpark, and you're getting the rest off right away. And you're also giving the fans a reason to tune in to the next game.
Now, it may not matter, but Iglesias had a hard time getting people out this spring. Here's a fly ball into right field, and just like that, he's given up a home run to first batter he faces. It was not a good March for Iglesias in Arizona.
Well, one of the things that, has to bother you about Jose Iglesias, if you do nothing else except read the stat sheet, is look at when he pitches, which is the 9th inning, and how many home runs he gives up. And that was true last year. And it's gotten off to that start this year.
So that makes it a 5-3 game. A leadoff home run by Dickerson here in the 8th inning. The Reds were so good. Among the very, very best in baseball. Now, you're talking about a team that lost over 90 games. But in the games where they had the lead from the 6th inning on, 7th inning on, 8th inning on, all those numbers, they were among the very, very best at closing those games out and turning them into wins. I mean, when you look at what David Hernandez did last year, you look at what Jared Hughes did last year. Even though Garrett had his ups and downs, he got a lot of big outs over the course of the season. And, of course, Iglesias was spectacular. And Lorenzen, after starting the year hurt, threw the ball very well.
Look at it this way, though. If this ball club is going to win, they're going to have to figure out a way to get something really good out of Raisel Iglesias. I mean, unless he's injured, and that's the reason why he gets hit around in spring training. They've got to go to him, and they've got to get him right, because he's a very important part of the back end of this bullpen. His home run rate given up last year between 2017 and 2018 basically doubled. He went from 0.6 home runs per 9 innings to 1.5 home runs per 9 innings. And that's the kind of thing, when you've got a closer that gives up the long ball, you send him out there and you keep your fingers crossed. But there's no denying his stuff. I mean, raw stuff, it's off the charts.
Now, we've seen Iglesias go more than one inning on multiple occasions. He'd come in the 8th inning sometimes last year and then finish things off in the 9th, pitch a couple of innings in games that maybe went into extra innings, that kind of thing. But you almost wonder if what we're seeing right now is Iglesias in the 8th and the center fielder comes in the 9th. I don't know if they would do that in the same game, looking at their bench and who's down there.
I would be very surprised to see that, because I think you've taken Michael Lorenzen out of pitching mode right now. He's thinking about defense. He's thinking about running the bases. I think you're sending Iglesias back out there if he has an easy inning here for the 9th inning, and it's a 2-inning save with a day off tomorrow.
And of course he wouldn't be able to, and really the more you think about it, he's not getting any warm-ups, right? He'd only be allowed the number of pitches you're slotted to have.
I think if you're going to make these moves, bringing in Iglesias in the 8th, putting Lorenzen in the center field, putting him up as a pinch hitter and so on, you have to kind of think along with the player that you're doing that to.
It's a great point.
Where is his mind? And make sure that his mindset is right so that you can appreciate it before you make the move.
On the ground down to third. I'm kind of curious, Chris, and I don't know if I'm sure you've seen this, all the baseball, amateur baseball, and your son plays at Louisville and all that kind of thing. When Lorenzen was playing center field in college, and then they would bring him into close games in the 9th, how would he get warm-up pitches at that point when they were at the plate?
Yeah, he may run down in the bullpen and throw a little bit. I'm not sure if there's a college rule against that. I know that, you throw a little bit in the outfield. But, The thing about it is, and we all forget what it's like to be, 19 and 20 years old, and you run around and get your adrenaline going a little bit. You don't need very many warm-up pitches. I mean, you're ready to go.
Maybe that's why I asked the question, because I can't remember that age. And I have a hard time believing you remember that age. You know what I mean?
I'm right with you. Yeah.
0-2 the count on Gung, who had the 2-run single, giving the Pirates a lead in the 6th inning, but the Reds with a 4-run 7th to take a 5-2 lead. Now a 5-3 game. Iglesias wanting that call.
He sure did, and he had Gung backing out, the whole infield leaning towards the dugout, and except for Joe West. We'll take a look. Yeah, that breaking ball that Iglesias is throwing up there is not his normal, really tight breaking pitch that he can start at the middle of the plate, and by the time it gets there, it's just diving into the dirt. It's kind of spinning off the ends of his fingers right now. That's why Barnhart's going with the fastball. Sometimes, as a pitcher, you find they're hard to get the finger grip on your seam. You might have to resort to a little stick-em. I do remember those days.
Oh, I know you remember those days. 1-2 to count on Gung. And he's able to foul it off. Another breaking ball. This time Gung stays away. We are in the top of the 8th inning. David Bell trying to make it a victorious day in his major league managerial debut. And that's a swing and a miss. So Iglesias gives up the home run. Retires the next 3. Reds will bat in the 8th, leading by 2. Well, we invite you to catch the action this Sunday. The Reds take on the Pirates at Great American Ballpark. The first 20,000 fans receive a free Reds calendar presented by Kroger. For tickets, visit Reds.com/150 every Sunday. Family day at the ballpark. Not many have left this one. It's been a very entertaining game, especially as we've moved further into the game. Nick Birdie takes over on the mound now for the Pirates. The Reds lead by 2, batting in the bottom of the 8th.
Yeah, he's a rookie. He pitched in 3 different levels last year. Did his college work down for the University of Louisville. And Dan McDonald with the Cardinals, originally drafted by the Minnesota Twins twice and traded eventually to the Pirates after he made his way to the Phillies, to the Pirates back in 2014. Big guy, very hard thrower from Downers Grove, Illinois, right outside of Chicago.
Schebler a swing and a miss. 0 for 4 in this opening day for Scott. 1 out. Our StatCast powered by AWS, a game-tying home run by Jose Peraza. What a day it's been for both Peraza and Iglesias. They pretty much have been the offense here today until Dietrich stepped up there with a pinch hit 3-run home run to break the 2-2 tie. But Peraza, a single, a game-tying home run, and 3 trips. His only out was a line drive that nearly knocked over Dickerson out in the left field. And then you have Iglesias, who's 2 for 3 in his Cincinnati Reds debut with a run batted in and a run scored. No balls, 2 strikes on Jose. And Birdie to the plate. Got him swinging. That's a pretty wicked pitch right there. Get ready for Reds action 30 minutes before the start of every game on Fox Sports Ohio. Get a first look at the lineups, pitching matchups, interviews from the locker room. It's Reds Live, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Reds Live begins at 1:30, 2:10 starts Saturday. After an off day tomorrow, Trevor Williams, a 14-game winner with actually a lower ERA than Tyone. And Sonny Gray. Boy, Chris, once he got healthy and was ready to go, how impressive was he in Arizona?
Yeah, I really think the Reds have got something special in Sonny Gray. He just, I go for intangibles sometimes, but he really understands what he has to do to pitch right. And the more people I talk to that have been around Sonny Gray, the more impressed I am with the way he carries himself. I think the Reds are going to be very happy with what he brings to the table. I'm not really sure what that pitch that Nick Birdie's throwing right there, but he gets ahead with a fastball, and then he's put the first 2 hitters he's faced away with a looks like a very hard slider.
Pitcher of record right now is Zach Duke. And it's Tyone, as he was charged with 4 of the 5 runs. He allowed the game-tying home run to Peraza to begin that 7th inning. He walked Barnhart, gave up the double to Iglesias before getting the hook in favor of Rodriguez, and he gave up the 3-run home run to Dietrich. Castillo excellent on this opening day. Fastball that paints the outer edge to end the inning at 98. All right. Iglesias tried to close it out with a 2-inning save. 3 outs away with a 2-run lead. Kids opening day, day after tomorrow, Saturday. And come down early. We have the Reds players and more than 30 mascots in that red carpet parade. Plus kids 14 and younger attending the game receive a free kids opening day cap thanks to Frisch's Big Boy. For tickets, visit Reds.com/150. The largest ever regular season crowd in the history of Great American Ballpark. 44,049. But right now, the magic number is 3. 3 outs away from an opening day win. And Iglesias trying to cover the final 2. Iglesias gave up a solo home run to the first batter he faced in Dickerson, and then retired the next 3. Iglesias, we brought up earlier, this is nothing new for him. He had 10 saves of 4 or more outs last year, the most in all of Major League Baseball. J.B. Shuck with a count of 3-1.
I would imagine he's got some fans in his stands today. J.B. Shuck went 3 years to Ohio State before he was drafted by the Houston Astros.
Iglesias walks Shuck to begin the 9th.
It's a good at bat right there. You're thinking, you know, you're a couple runs down, you're down at the bottom of the order. You know, make the guy throw you strikes and a leadoff walk. And that, I don't know what it is about a leadoff walk, but it always seems to carry much worse negative energy than a leadoff base hit.
Especially with a 2-run lead in the 9th inning.
Now, I think that we're not the only ones sensing it. You can see that the whole infield comes in right there to meet with Iglesias, maybe give him a little pep talk. Gonzalez is not known for his power. Always been a backup player, mostly with the Cleveland Indians. As I said earlier, a good glove guy, but he's more of a slap hitter than anything else, and maybe a good candidate for a rollover double play. Not up there.
You know, it's amazing how some injuries, and they knew Polanco was not going to start the year healthy, but even just in the last 72 hours, the difference it makes. Gonzalez more than likely doesn't bat even in this situation. But, you know, they knew Polanco was out. Diaz out as a backup catcher. They had Chisenhall got injured in their second to last spring training game when he was hit by a pitch. They do have Colin Moran, who can swing the bat, especially against right-handed pitchers. Moran just shredded Reds pitching last season. He's waiting. Jam shot pop up on a breaking ball that actually hung up there a little bit. It's out number 1. Against a better right-handed hitter, that could have been trouble.
Well, you get your chance to see Moran here.
You and I were talking about this guy before the game. You know, he came over in the big deal with Garrett Cole from the Astros. And when we saw him last year, he started the season as a backup at third, wound up becoming the everyday third baseman. He had a terrible time against left-handed pitching. So some are already suggesting he would be a good platoon player. But man, did he mash right-handed pitching.
Well, I still see he has that winter job as a Civil War reenactment actor.
Well, it's good work if you can get it. And Iglesias falls behind. 2 balls and no strikes.
He just doesn't look like he's in sync.
No.
It just seems like he's falling off more than he usually does off to the first base side of the pitcher's mound. Kind of look like he's trying to reach back for something that's just not there right now. And when that front shoulder starts flying open like that, you're either going to bounce it in the dirt or you're going to leave it high and away. It may come down to decision time here for David Bell.
Well, he already has David Hernandez, a right-hander, and Amir Garrett, the left-hander, getting ready in the bullpen. He's seeing the same thing you're seeing. That's a 4-pitch walk to put the tying run aboard, and the go-ahead run will come to the plate. You know, you hate to even bring things up about the kind of spring a guy has, but I mean, it seemed as though every time Iglesias went to the mound, and you're talking about one of the best closers in the game, that he was getting hit around. And he is going to be taken out of the game after 34 pitches by David Bell. Gave up a home run in the 8th, walks 2 here in the 9th, and Amir Garrett will come on to face. I'm not sure he's going to see Frazier. We'll have to wait and see. Frazier, a left-handed batter. Game on the line when we return. Well, once more, we invite you to check out the new theme ticket packages the Reds are offering up this year. A Star Wars Darth Vader, a Marvel Black Panther, and many more. For tickets, visit Reds.com/themes. All right, all of a sudden, unwanted drama in this 9th inning.
You need strikes out of Amir Garrett, and that's priority number 1 right here. 66 games last year. He can be overpowering.
And pulls a string on the first pitch. Frazier was looking dead red all the way.
That slider is so good.
Tries to throw it again and leaves it up high. You have Frazier, a left-handed batter. You have Pablo Reyes, a right-handed batter. In the on-deck circle, you may remember he replaced Cabrera. And then you go lefty Dickerson, switch hitter Bell. That's 3 in a row thrown by Garrett coming out of that bullpen.
There's something going on there, and I don't think Garrett's calling the pitches. I can guarantee you that it's Tucker Barnhart with the scouting report in his head. And right now that slider just looks unhittable, so why would you change? If you're Garrett, you're thinking to yourself, you know, I'm not going to hang it here. I'm going to throw it to the middle of the plate, and it's going to break away. I don't want to leave it inside.
And throws another that locks him up, strike 3.
And David Bell will come out one more time, this time to make a move to the bullpen again, and presumably David Hernandez.
Amir Garrett has never had a career save in the big leagues.
I thought there might be a chance that he would leave Garrett in the game right here for no other reason except that you have Corey Dickerson on deck, who's the best hitter on their Pirates ball club, and he is left-handed. So what David Bell's doing right here, going for it all with the batter at the plate now.
All righty, crowd on its feet. Largest ever regular season crowd at Great American Ballpark, as David Hernandez comes on to try and save it. The tying run at first and the go-ahead run at the plate. Hernandez in his second season as a Red began last year on the DL and had a great year. But one thing he did not do as a Red last season was get a save. He appeared in 57 games. He has a total of 22 career saves. His last came with Arizona in 2017. fallen behind Pablo Reyes. 2 balls and no strikes. This is the first time that Reyes is battered in the game. Hernandez so good in like situations last year, but never once was that for a 27th out. Two balls and no strikes on Reyes. 3-0.
Normally known for very good control. Hernandez only walked 17 batters in 64 innings last year. He's got to climb up the ladder here.
Well, the Reds have Wandy Peralta cranking it up in their bullpen. That is a 4-pitch walk.
And really wasn't close to any of them.
Well, now you have another decision to make. You brought up earlier, the best hitter last year in this lineup was a man coming to the plate right now. And that's Corey Dickerson, a left-handed batter.
I think he's one of the underrated, really good hitters in this league. He's got good strike zone command. He's got a short stroke to the hitting zone. He's already hit a home run today. And he'll be looking fastball on this first pitch, I guarantee.
Ball 1 to Dickerson. Well, you have Peralta getting loose, but do you trust Peralta after what he did last year? And apparently the answer to that question against this left-handed batter Dickerson is, I'm going to stay with the veteran. And Hernandez an out away. The Reds an out away from an opening day win. And there's a strike. Bases loaded for the Pirates. We are in the top of the 9th inning, and the Reds lead 5-3. Wow. Dickerson was clearly not looking for that. And now the Reds are a strike away and an out away.
Give something else for Dickerson to think about on this 2-strike pitch.
One ball, 2 strikes. We'll do it again. Dickerson 1 of 3. He was the first batter Iglesias faced an inning ago, and Dickerson homered to right. Chuck, Moran, Reyes aboard. 2 outs, top of the 9th. 1 ball and 2 strikes, and Hernandez set to go against Dickerson. And here it comes.
Yeah, one of the old cornerstones of pitching is you get a decision on a 2-2 count.
Dickerson down onto 1 knee to keep this at bat alive. What do you think Barnhart has to say that quick visit to the mound? Any guess?
What do you want to throw?
Gotcha.
I mean, I leave it to the veteran pitcher right here to go with what he wants to do. You don't want to talk him into something that he doesn't feel 100% convicted in throwing.
Bases are jammed, and the Reds lead by 2 with 2 outs in the ninth.
Never even gave him a sign.
The battle continues. Seventh pitch of this at bat. Hernandez against Dickerson. There'll be a ninth pitch in this at bat. What a day. The Reds starting their 150th anniversary, the oldest franchise in all of baseball, professional baseball. Largest regular season crowd ever at Great American Ballpark. And trying to get the final strike and the final out is David Hernandez. Hernandez okays a sign with Barnhart, and again the 2-2 pitch in the air down the right field line, but out of play.
Boy, you talk about hanging tough.
This will be the 10th pitch. Yes, indeed, a nail biter, and 161 more to go, by the way.
I'll take one of these every night.
It's good stuff. I don't know if David Bell would like one of these every night.
I mean, a 2-run lead in the ninth.
2-2 again. Wow. The 11th pitch in this at bat is coming up to Corey Dickerson.
Dickerson a little bit choking up now in this at bat. He was down on the end of the knob earlier in the ball game. That's why he's able to catch up with everything that Hernandez is tossing up there.
Well, he almost took that one out of the catcher's mitt. It looked like it fooled him, and he found a way to still get a bat on it. Pitch number 12. With the bases loaded, 2 outs and a 2-run lead. Hernandez once more, the big deep breath, and now to the plate. On the ground to second, and the Reds have won it on opening day. Congratulations, David Bell. Boy, you talk about a big-time piece on the mound right there. That was at bat by David Hernandez.
You're not kidding.
That is getting it done.
The way he started out, it seemed like he needed 4 or 5 pitches before he kind of got his sea legs underneath him. But once he started finding that release point, I'll tell you, this guy was not going to let it get away.
I mean, it was 2 balls and 2 strikes for 6 straight pitches in that at bat, and he threw nothing but strikes the rest of the way to get his first save as a Red.
Congratulations, David Hernandez and David Bell.
I mean, right on down the line. Derek Dietrich, native of Cleveland, with a big home run. Castillo, his first opening day start, though not a win, pitched beautifully here today. Jose Iglesias getting his Reds debut. Couple of hits, knocks in a run, scores a run. Time for our Miller Lite Hold True moment. What else would it be? The home run. I shouldn't say that. It could have been a number of plays in this one. But look at the reactions from the St. Ignatius grad outside of Cleveland. And as Sam Weiss would say, you're not in Cleveland. You're in Cincinnati. And he's celebrating right now with Jeff Vaccaro.
Thank you very much, Tom. Yeah, the product of St. Ignatius High School in Cleveland, right? He come in here. This had to be fun, man.
Not too far away, yeah. I mean, wow. This atmosphere, these fans, I've been hearing about it for the whole offseason, and just to feel this and embrace this, what a blessing. Wow.
It's got to be a different situation for you. You got to play quite a bit last year, but coming off the bench, especially in a situation, Tyon was really pitching well. You got ahead in the count there, and then you got something you could make something out of, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I mean, Luis was pitching great for us. I mean, wow, he had a wonderful performance, but, you know, in that situation, just trying to put a good swing on it. Had a couple guys in scoring position, and, you know, coming through the first day and the organization, couldn't have wrote it up any better.
You were flying around the bases and the excitement there. What's going through your mind when you know you got it good and when you see it go out?
Thank you, Lord. Thank you for putting me in this position, and I'm blessed to be here.
How much fun is it, this sold-out house like this? And again, I don't want to knock where you were before, but now you come here, the excitement, there was so much to opening day here in Cincinnati.
The first thing that comes to mind is the people from top to bottom in this organization, the people of the city of Cincinnati. You could just feel it. Everyone cares for each other. Everyone wants to win and have fun doing it, and I'm looking forward to so many games here.
Tommy, Chris, before I let him go in spring training, he was sitting out by the pool next to me, and I walked up and talked to him, and I said, hey, I'm the guy that's going to interview you on the field. And what did you say?
I said, it's not going to take long. We're going to be talking a lot this year.
And the first game, right?
Yeah, well, hey, I take it. This is just fun, man. I can't wait to keep playing here and being in Cincinnati.
Well, congratulations on a great win.
Awesome. Thank you. Go Reds.
Thanks, all right. Man. Appreciate it, Derek. Wow. Big 3-run home run with Derek Dietrich. We'll be back with more from opening day. And how about David Hernandez and the job he does on the 12-pitch at bat to get the final out and the first save of the season.
Cincinnati Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by TD Ameritrade. Opening week presented by TD Ameritrade by Toyota. For all your Toyota offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And by First Financial Bank. We put your success first. Learn more at bankatfirst.com. Member FDIC. Boy, a really good day for so many, including about 44,049. But one of the good days belongs to Jose Peraza, coming off the best year of his career. He had a base hit, scored a run in the second inning after a line drive.